So I did some more research, and apparently there's no reason to write our own scene double tap stuff because I found a playground that does that. So let's just remove these two and move these two. And in our collaborative, whoops, if we wanted to listen for this scene on pointer observable, add a function that takes event data, which is pointer info and state info and state, and do something with it. Here I found a playground here that the event, okay, so this is the info type will match this. If it's this, so we can say if info type is equal to double tap, then info dot pick info dot is there a picked mesh? So if it has this, if then info picked mesh dispose. I think this should probably work better. And we probably need to make this a function of its own. Const delete func is this thing. And we'll have this add delete function. And if you're switching off, then we'll do scene on pointer observable, but now we remove delete function. Oh, I think it needs to store the observable. This should return alright, so coming back to here, join the space, and if I click on this, I get nothing. Interesting, the mouse is locked. Let me refresh. Whoops, there's something here. Can't read properties undefined of next. Oh, scene manager. There's the red. We don't need this. Okay, double clicking does nothing. Switch this to edit mode. Double click deletes double click deletes. Works really well. Not the best UI. I think I would like to click and just click the delete button, I think. But we can save this change because it made a tiny bit of progress. Still not that happy with it. So how about them that Gizmo layer? How does that work? So we're clicking over this to get these gizmos. Should make it so when we double click, we maybe enter into switch it into another mode that you can then delete. Tell me more about these layers. Layer, JS, Gizmo layer, utility layers. The utility layer class overlays objects in a scene without modifying the existing scene. It can be used to enable custom overlays or gizmos. But utility layers can be created manually with the following. Utility layer, new. The utility layer render contains references to both the utility layer scene as well as the original scene. Original scene and the utility layer scene. Okay. Once created, meshes can be added to the utility layer scene. So we can create a box and put it in the utility layer scene. Create a different light for the overlay scene. Controls. By default, the overlaid scene will be drawn on top of the existing scene, ignoring the depth buffer of objects in the utility scene if are desired to be occluded. Auto clear depth and stencil should be set to false. Note, when this is set to false, transparent meshes will always be occluded by objects drawn by the utility layer. By default, the utility layer scene will be drawn following every draw of the original scene. Okay, pointer events. Since the utility layer is rendered on top of the existing scene, there are a couple options to control how pointer interactions with the scenes work. By default, the utility layer fires the pointer up, down, and pointer move events as usual. But pointer down events are only passed to the utilities layer scene if the pointer event contacts it first. To disable other events, if the pointer event does not contact the utility layer first, the following can be used. It's an overlay. There's a Gizmo example. Overlay scene. So they're creating a new utility layer, then creating an overlay box, and position is this and this. Create a light and embed the overlay in the main scene so it is properly occluded. Can't rotate here. Okay. The other one's a Gizmo example. So rendering layer, new Babylon. So what if I reuse the default utility layer? So if I grab that, and go to collaborative editor. Let's see, does that work? Be non this. So const utility layer. That, and can we render something on it? So we can just do util layer and we'll create this kind of thing. Okay, there is our box here. Go edit. Can't select on utility layer. That's interesting. Turning it off. Seems to have removed the utility layer lighting. It probably has to do with creating the Gizmo thing. Util utility layer render dot. Is there anything that shows us how many? So what if we just put this on our own utility layer? We could say new. Okay, so then now when we flip this on and off, it doesn't affect this, which is kind of nice. So we could make a delete utility layer. Then when we click on a mesh, then we draw one see, at the utility layer. So let's see. Let's just turn this stuff off for now. We want to say when you click on a mesh, let's just hide. Hold on. Let's just do it out here. This scene on pointer observable add event, and when the event type is equal to epsilon dot pointer event types dot pointer up, let's say. So if this happens, now draw a delete icon, let's say. So we want to, so we have our utility layer. We want to create a box that's at this position. So we'll do this. Cut. Paste it here. Overlay boxes, create box, and we'll put it in the utility layer. The position will be at the position where the objects is. So would that be event pick info picked mesh positioning? I guess we need to check if this is existing too, if there's a mesh. So if that exists, then we should create a box and parent it to the box, right? I think so. So can we create this in the utility layer and then set overlay box parent equal to event pick info picked mesh? So it would be tied to it, and when you move it, it should move it in the utility layer as well. Single click, there's the box. Single click, there's the box. Turn on this. Gizmo Move. And yes, our box is moving as well. Close that. Scale. is pretty cool. It needs some lighting. What was the lighting that we just deleted? Let's see. Overlay, hemispheric light. What's the other kind of light we have? Light, spotlight, highlight, directional light. Yeah, hemispheric light is fine. Epsilon vector is pointing in, XYZ pointing, XYZ would be pointing into the plane. I guess that's fine. What they like? Okay, let's see what that looks like. If I click once, oh, created more than one box. That's interesting. Click that. Oh, wait, the light is moving. That's why. Okay, move the light out so you're not creating a new light every time. So we kind of want this idea of a highlighted. Why are you creating one there? Oh, just by picking up my mouse, it already created two. Because when I click here, it's the origin of the whole space. So we kind of need tags that say editable. And those are the only ones that you can edit. So what if, let's go to create primitives. I think that's in parse. That's still in Scene Manager. Okay, find or create mesh. And this one's tagged with teleportable. So grids and boxes are teleportable. And a plane. Okay, everything else should be marked editable. I don't think we want to move this one, but everything else. Define the tag string. Let's tag this with editable. Do it here, primarily with box. Yeah, let's make them all editable. Process component if mesh ID equals entity ID. Okay, so if not mesh, if mesh, and do this. Okay, so they're editable. And in your collab edit manager, you can only manipulate things. Okay, we have a Gizmo manager. Let's see. What? No? Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Not this one. Scene manager. Collab edit manager. Where's that Gizmo? Oh, there's no file. It's just here. Gizmo manager dispose. On. Okay, we added an observer on attach to mesh observable. If mesh, if you have a mesh and ignore names, mesh ignore mesh names includes mesh name. And this ignore meshes is VR menu GUI. I don't think we need that anymore. We can remove all instances of that. VR menu GUI. So we added tags for this. And here, that. We don't need this. And we don't need this ignore meshes. Because in here, we're only going to allow you to and okay, so you have a mesh, and the mesh has tag, mesh tags, scene dot meshes. Just give me one. A dot tags. Tags. There you go. Babylon tag tags dot has tags. Documentation. Babylon.js check if mesh has tags. Oh, tags, add tags too. You could just separate them. Cool. Is that what we're using? Add tags to? Add tags to. And what else? Enable for has tags. Babylon tags has tags. JSON. Matches tags query. Tag 1, tag 2. So you can say a dot matches tags query blah false, but how about editable? That's true. That's cool. And mesh matches tags query doesn't exist on an abstract mesh. Mesh on attached to mesh observable. Mesh as what? Babylon mesh. What is this type? If we do this scene meshes, what is this? It's an array of abstract mesh. So if this is an abstract mesh, why doesn't this exist? Matches tags query does not exist. Oh, yeah. It's not a property, it's a function. And the value is editable. So so if you have a mesh and this is null, then you unset it. If this is false. Okay, let's see what this does. I go like this. So I can't select this. Let's say that the grid is not editable. Let's go back to Scene Manager. Create and update. Find and create. Find or create. If entity type is not equal to grid, let's say that it's editable. And so I shouldn't be able to select this. Okay, I can't select that. I can select this. Okay, great. Click, click, click. So just clicking out here creates this black box. Okay, coming back to collab editor. What now? Okay, so we want to create that thing. Okay, well, if you picked a mesh, what's the mesh name? Just want to know the name. Out here. There's no picked mesh name out there. There's no picked mesh name, but it still drew a box. Why? Or maybe it's null. No, it would have still said picked mesh. This picks a mesh. That doesn't pick a mesh, but it still drew a box. Why? Oh, because out here I had some leftover. No, it shouldn't. Okay, so if I click out here, no new box. If I click here, it should create a box because it's a mesh, but I only want to do it on creatable or deletable meshes. So we have this, and okay, let's see if this is a thing. Let mesh equal this. So if there's a mesh and mesh dot what was it? Match something, matches tags query. If it's editable, then do this. And then when we click away, we've got to ditch all this stuff. So we need to clean up after ourselves. We got to clean up the utility layer. I wonder if we I got this utility layer. So I think we could just say let's select one mesh at a time. Let's say const selected mesh, or not const, it's a thing. We could even maybe put it up there. Yeah, you could put some of these up there. Let's say public one thing at a time. Okay, we got the selected mesh. So if this is true, then we want to set a selected mesh. So let's do this. Public selected mesh is just babylon.abstract mesh. Let's say that, oh, we've already got one. We've already got one here. Are we using it? Selected mesh. Okay, selected mesh is there. use that to broadcast the position so we have a reference to it. Of course. So if you select it with a single click here, this can also be let's see, double click. I mean, you could turn off their automatic way. So if mesh and it's editable, you can select set the selected mesh as well. I feel like this has two modes. One is moving and one is deleting. Let's make this a much smaller box. Let's say if this is true, we'll make this on mesh builder, create. What else can we create? Create capsules, dash lines, lathe, line system, create lines, ribbon, torus. Create a torus. Name, delete, options, whatever. And util layer dot what is it? Utility layer scene. Cool. That's pretty cool. And do this. It's rendering over it. I should just be able to delete it. So we could have like a texture that's with an X on it that's always facing us. And then when we click that, oh, but it doesn't receive the clicks, I don't think. So we'll figure that part out later, but it was pretty cool exploration of utility layers.